What's going on, guys? Don with Life After Serving, and want to talk over the post 9/11 bill and some of my experiences in using it, as well as what are available through the benefit itself. I'm going to talk specifically on the veteran using it. Obviously, there are some other additional things that you can look into as far as dependents and or spouse being able to transfer the benefits. But for me, what we're going to talk on this specific video is the veteran themselves using the benefit. Now, I used it to get my master's degree. So I was able to get a bachelor's degree while I was active duty. I did the online courses at that time through AMU, American Military University. Was able to acquire that bachelor's using tuition assistance and some of the grants that were available while I was active duty. So in getting out, I knew that really all I wanted was a master's, and to be really frank, didn't even really care to get the master's at the time. But I lived in Southern California, and the housing allowance was almost $3,000 for a full-time student. And as a veteran that was getting out and moving and had a family and had a child and spouse to depend on, that was really my motivating factor at the time. It wasn't necessarily to get the degree and what it could open doors with. It really was for the benefit of the housing allowance, and we'll talk a little bit on some of that stuff here in the video as well. But I want to kind of go over who qualifies for this. Now, some of this stuff, I am going to provide the links on the VA's website so that you can look up these requirements, but I'm going to read off some of it, and so you'll see me kind of looking up and down. The 100% benefit. So how do you qualify to get 100% of it? And that means having typically 36 months of post 9/11 benefit to be able to be used. There are ways to get 48 months, and they do mention that most will qualify for the 36 months. That said, have to be active duty for 1,095 days, aka 36 months, or served active duty and received a Purple Heart after September 11th, 2001. Served active duty for at least continuous 30 days without a break, and discharged because you had a service-connected disability. So I will provide a link to this so you can look through it, because there are some breakdowns of if you served less than those 36 months, what does it look like benefit-wise? How much do you get? Okay, so I will provide that. One of the things that a lot of people have questions on, is it just for a bachelor's degree? Is it just for a master's? No. So you can go for non-degree, non-college programs, flight school, correspondence school. If you're going for some type of certification for like HVAC repair, truck driving, EMT, etc., and they have a tuition there, you can apply, and it's up to, for those non-degree programs, $26,381.37. Flight training is 15 grand roughly that it'll cover. Correspondence, 12 grand. So again, I'll provide the link to this stuff so that you can really take a look at the benefits. They call the housing allowance, or BAH, actually MHA, monthly housing allowance. So I happen to look it up right now as it is. If I was still in Los Angeles, California, going roughly $3,100, $3,200 in housing allowance. If I were to do it out in Wisconsin, where we are located now, it's roughly $2,200 a month for a full-time student. If you're going to go online, it's going to be half of the national average. So I can tell you, when I was going full-time in person, I was going to Webster University out near Northrop Grumman and the Air Force Base there, and I was going full-time. And what did that require? I had to take, at that time, 3 classes in a semester, and they broke it down to where it was 3 classes. I think it was 8 or 9 weeks, and then you had an additional 3 classes. And so that you have to get to a full-time student, and what that is, or what that definition is by each school, is going to change. So that is something to look into when you're looking at schools. Talk to them and figure out what exactly a full-time student requirement is. Oftentimes, full-time student is less classes with a master's versus a little bit more classes required because of the credits for a bachelor's. So being the fact that I completed my bachelor's before I came out of the military, I only needed to worry about the master's, and I knew that I was going to use the whole benefit. And so I took the least amount of classes, to be honest, so that I could be full-time, get the housing allowance, excuse me on the voice, get the housing allowance and be able to kind of go through. And for me, it was exactly, I think, 35 months that I used the benefit to get that master's MBA, and got that housing allowance for that period of time, got the classes covered, and then got books covered as well. One thing you do need to pay attention to is book costs. So book costs, I think they cover roughly $1,000 is what I saw per semester. Oftentimes I was going and buying books online between eBay and websites like that, or if I could get a ebook, I was getting them to where I had low overhead, low cost to go to school. And for me, it was really just concerned with how do I get through, get the degree, and get the housing allowance. Now, I will tell you, since I got it, it did open up doors for different contracting platforms. I was a contracting officer, and so for me to get through and get jobs or careers if I wanted to after that, the MBA definitely helped in that career path that I was in. Now, if you're looking for kind of different career paths, there are other agencies, and we'll talk in videos on that, who you can reach out to, and they can do some different tests and assist you with figuring out what it is that might be a good fit for you. But for me, I knew business was where I wanted to be at a long term, and the MBA was something where I could, on a high level, see what that was on a executive level. So went through, did the MBA, and for me, once I got done with the MBA, I was actually only in the career path maybe for roughly 2.5, 3 years after that, but it definitely helped with the salary and things that came with it to have that checkbox, to have that MBA. And if I ever wanted to go back and get into that career path, because of that degree and my work history and some of the certifications that I got, it'd be extremely easy. I'd be able to pick up a job within, probably 2-3 weeks at this point in time of applying at different ones. And now with working remote, it'd be extremely efficient and easy to get into that. So my wife and I both used our post 9/11 to get our MBAs when we got out. She's talking about going back and getting her doctorate. She's still got some leftovers on her 9/11 bill, but we being 100% rated through the VA, she also qualifies for some other things, some different grants and whatnot that she'll be looking at for her doctorate. And that's really the name of the game. Look and see what's out there, what's available. Nobody's going to be knocking on your door and calling you and telling you what benefits you qualify for. You are definitely going to have to go out, and nobody cares more than you about you. So go ahead and search the different grants, different programs that are available in your state, in your area. It's different. So same thing with your dependents, your spouses, some of the things they may qualify for because of your rating or being a veteran. So state of Wisconsin, state colleges are covered for dependents and or spouses potentially, depending on where you signed up from when you join the military, and then what your rating is, and or if you've lived in certain locations for X amount of years. So take a look at that. If you do have questions on this specific topic, reach out to us, whether you're looking at a public school, a private school, or maybe getting your certification. This is definitely a benefit that if you have not used or looked into, you really should think about looking into it. It's definitely something that could provide a way for you to get that extra education and extra checkbox to progress in your career and not have to come out of pocket for those expenses. So I will post some of the links below so that you can actually check out what the requirements are for that GI Bill, where to apply, because you do actually have to apply for that benefit. And then what additional things you can research, such as the housing allowance and some of the requiremets for that GI Bill. If you do need anything, reach out to us, lifeafterserving.com. We've got the YouTube channel, so youtube.com/lifeafterserving. I think there's an @ symbol at lifeafterserving at the end there. Check that out, and we'll continue to kind of provide some of these different videos on what's available for first responders, veterans, and kind of providing some feedback and input on how I used it through my career to get to a point where we are, and some of the things that it did for us and opened doors for us. So take care.